Awesome. Welcome to the BMI podcast, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a special guest here. Is it Ollie Ferguson?
Yeah, it's me, mate.
That's you? Nice. So I thought I've been following your journey for a while, and I thought I'd get you on just for the listeners. I've got a few listeners of mine that are kind of on the fence of like wanting to get into, I guess, fitness, or maybe just trying to better their life or live a little bit of a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I've followed you for a while, and I see that you're embodying what we try to push here on the BMI podcast, living a healthy lifestyle, and thanks for coming on.
No stress. That's what I'm all about, really, yeah. So always keen to share what I can in that regard, so hopefully some people can take something out of this.
Yeah, sweet. So I guess give maybe a background of yourself and your journey, I guess, with the healthy lifestyle.
Well, I've always been into fitness, more so growing up was all team sports, so played rugby when I was young, and then kind of high school went real heavy on cricket, was real keen on cricket.
Oh, cool.
I played when I left school, but, kind of just went social from that point on, really,
Yeah.
just to play to catch up with your mates and all that, which was cool. But I think things kind of changed for me when I was kind of keen to take on something new.
Yeah.
And I'd always want to do a half Ironman, kind of as long as I could remember, really, like being on holiday in Taupo when I was a young kid and seeing these guys out there doing it.
Yeah, because there's always a lot going on there, right? Like that's one of the main hubs for it, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. But I distinctly remember, you go out early in the morning at 7 o'clock, and they're starting, and you go.
Half of them are halfway through.
Yeah.
An hour run already.
And then you go out a few hours later, and they're still going, and then you go out at night time, and they're still going, and it's like, what are these guys up to? Like, that was just crazy from what I kind of thought.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know too much about it at that stage, but kind of grow up and you kind of learn, that's the Ironman or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, that's definitely something I want to get into.
That's cool. Like, that's cool to have something like that around you. I never had any of that. Like, I used to compete in sport when I was younger, but I never had sort of seeing those guys firsthand, like, because that's sort of pretty much like ultra endurance type training, right? And like, so was that your entry into sort of like, that's what made you want to do it, or was there anyone in particular that you sort of followed, or did you have any people that you looked up to in that world, or literally was just that through your childhood, just seeing that?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty much just that, really, And I kind of never really pursued that when, I saw that when I was like 5 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't until I was 21 that I actually did my first one. But yeah, so I never really did that sort of triathlons or anything throughout school.
Did you work your way up to it? Sorry, I'm asking out of interest because like I'm sort of, it's in my, I guess, to-do list. I want to sort of one day do a triathlon, like, because I used to swim when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I've always hated running, and this year I just started running a lot, and it's sort of, I've built up the endurance there, and I realized like maybe I want to give that a crack, because my motto for the year is embrace the difficult.
Oh man,
like everything that I see that's difficult, I just sort of like embrace it, and just, if I'm not wanting to do it, it means I probably should be doing it.
Yeah,
like that's how I've been going. So, did you like start with a marathon, or did you what was that path like?
Well, yes and no. I signed up for it. It's cold turkey. Never even done a triathlon before.
Wicked, man.
Yeah, not even like any of the shorter distances or anything. I did a bit of. I didn't really do running at school, kind of just to keep fit for other sports and that. Was a useless swimmer when I started, and had done a little bit of cycling just for one or two events at school.
I hear the swimming's like one of the hardest for a lot of people if they were to get in. I feel like that would be one of my strong sports, because I used to swim when I was younger, but like not competitive or anything. But
Yeah. There's kind of two different sides I see people come from. It's either I swam when I was younger, or I didn't swim when I was younger. Obviously, there's kind of all you can go back to.
Yeah.
But two pretty different perspectives. People that never swum when they're younger, it's a real barrier. I think just, kind of the psychological aspect of it, swimming for 2K for a half Ironman, or almost 4K for a full.
Yeah.
It's pretty daunting for someone that,
that's never done more than 2 laps of
when
a pool.
When I started training, I could swim 50 meters, like, to put it in perspective.
Wow.
Like, to swim 2K was, I kind of signed up pretty far in advance, because I knew it would take quite a lot of training to get there.
Yeah. How far was that? ahead?
I signed up with about 11 months, 10 months in advance.
Yeah.
But in the end, it only took me about 2.5 months to be able to swim 2K.
Wicked.
Just by, sticking at it, going 3 times a week or whatever.
Yeah. And you started that back in Palmy, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved up to Auckland 3 months ago.
Yep.
But that training was like beginning of last year. So, almost a year and a half ago now.
And how often were you sort of swimming? Because I guess were you leaning more into the swimming?
Yeah,
because that was more your shortfall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of a triathlon training regime, I probably didn't follow the typical sort of one.
Yeah,
it was more just going heavy on the swimming because I knew like that was what I needed to work on. And if I couldn't complete the swim, I couldn't complete the half Ironman. It was as simple as that, really. Yeah. So I went really hard on the swimming at the start because I knew I had a bit of running fitness. I was never a great runner, but I mean, had a bit of running behind me. I knew that I could pick up the cycling reasonably quickly, having done a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But the swimming was so new to me. So at the start, I was swimming 3 or 4 times a week. Well,
I feel like that's where a lot of the gain is lost as well, right? Like some people, like the good swimmers, tend to be on the front of the pack, right? Like because it's always swimming first. Is that?
It is.
That,
yeah.
So then, like I think a lot of people, like we've all ride bikes our whole life, and most people.
Yeah.
And then, like I guess running, I feel like if you can get ahead in that swimming area, you can make up some ground with the bike or the run.
Yeah. Well, there's funny enough. That's actually how I looked at it going into it, but that's actually a bit backwards because
there you go. So
yeah,
I don't know.
in a half. Well, yeah, I thought the same thing when I started. And half Ironman, you think like, well, we'll say half Ironman.
Yep.
You're swimming 1.9k,
mm-hmm.
and you're cycling 90, and you're running 21.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So
cycling's a huge part of it.
So cycling is a massive part, and my splits. I think I did like a 40-minute swim, did a 3-hour cycle, and a 1 hour 45 run. I think.
Yeah.
So you think you get 20% better at your bike versus getting 20% better in the pool,
which is well over half of the chunk of time, right?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference getting better on the bike versus getting better in the pool or swimming.
Oh, there you go. Well, well, that's the whole point of doing it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Is literally, I guess maybe naive. You just going, oh fuck, I'll sign up and do it.
Yeah.
But like as long as you know that it's not a one and done thing, you're like, all right, let's go test the waters, quite literally, and then fucking see how it goes.
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose that probably depends where you're at. Like where I was I couldn't swim at all.
Yeah.
So I had to be able to swim 1.9. So I had to put the time into that.
Yeah.
But if I was average at all three, it would have been better off putting my time into the cycling and running.
Yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't swim at all, so I had to get to at least average.
Yeah.
Before I could start kind of like now my training.
You could evenly spread the load, sort of thing. Yeah.
So now my training's a lot more heavily running and cycling than it is swimming. I'm probably swimming twice a week.
Yeah.
Because I mean I'm not a flash swimmer compared to anyone out there, but I know most of my gains will be made
on that bike,
on the bike and on the run.
Bit of a perspective shift for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like because I enjoy running and cycling a lot more than I enjoy swimming, to be honest. So it actually makes my training a bit more enjoyable. But,
yeah, it's hard, Like swimming's. I remember like it's different, right? Like it's
100%.
Like for some people that you like it's when we're kids we used to bike or you used to running around when you're a kid. But it's not a modality that people tend to be comfortable with, right?
Yeah. Like I mean, like anyone, I suppose, growing up in New Zealand, had a lot of experience, like swimming at the beach and at Lake Taupo and whatever. But swimming, actually like training swimming was something I'd never really done at all. So that was completely new. But then, riding a bike and running is something that so many people do just, as a way of training, whether or not they are doing something like an Ironman.
Yeah. Did you end up like putting any training into the open water?
I did.
Like, what was that like?
Oh, it was pretty daunting, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I've talked to a few. Like, I used to work with a triathlete and husband and wife, and they used to get up and go to the lake at 5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, so it's in the dark and like open lake, and just start swimming and swim across and then swim all the way back. And it was just like, in my head, I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah. To be honest, I was like really nervous about it at the time. So I did like a little bit when I first started swimming, but I kind of wasn't at the point where I was, confident enough to kind of head way out and, swim out in that real deep sort of stuff.
Did you go out with anyone else?
No.
So you just fucking
Yeah, I got one of those boys that, you attach around your waist and it kind of floats behind you. So you can, if my dad or whoever was there could kind of see me from the shore, make sure I wasn't, struggling or whatever.
Yeah.
But probably the 4 or 5 weeks leading into the half Ironman, I was going up to Taupo every weekend rather.
Oh yeah.
And I'd do 3 or 4 open water swims in a weekend just to really get those
Oh
reps
really?
in. Because
what was the travel like? How long's that?
it's about 2.5, 3 hours.
Shit. So
But
you're putting in the yards, eh?
yeah, because after I did it the first time, I was like, yeah, shit, I'm pretty uncomfortable here. If I want to finish this, I really need to, I can't finish the race if I don't finish the swim.
Yeah. And you did the Taupo half
Yeah.
Ironman, yeah.
So yeah, in New Zealand, most of the Ironmans
Oh,
Taupo. Well, all the proper Ironmans are.
Yep.
There are other equivalent distances, but aren't official Ironmans, I suppose.
oh, okay.
They're all the actual Ironmans in Taupo. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Did you So when you first signed up, was there anyone else that you were doing it with?
Nah.
No, you just jumped in there.
There's
Good on you, man.
one or two mates that I kind of talked to about, but they
half. Yeah, I'm keen. Or
yeah, but to be fair, they all had different stuff going on, going into new jobs that they just didn't have the time to or whatever. All their individual circumstances, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But now it's just me.
It's a lot of dedication, right? Like it's not just I don't know. Like I've sort of been trying to train for my own little mini half marathon for myself.
Yeah.
And we'll probably actually lead into another sort of question for yourself. It was because I think I was telling you, I pulled my knee.
Yeah.
And I was trying to ramp up for an hour and 32, half marathon.
Yeah.
And, the workouts progressively got harder and harder.
Yeah.
On the program. And I was just like, oh shit. And then a little niggle came along and I was like, oh no. But then you kind of in your own head and you want to keep pushing, right? And then, then you're like, oh, it'll be all right to just finish it off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But and it's hard to stop yourself, and we were talking about it earlier on.
Yeah.
What was it like? I guess you're just going for an injury right now.
Yeah.
Is that going to affect your full Ironman that you're going to do now, or are you hoping?
I'm hoping I'm far enough out that it doesn't.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest.
What was it like going through that? Give us a bit of background on that.
It's been a bit niggly, to be honest, kind of the nature of what I'm trying to kind of work out is I don't really know how long it's going to be till I can get back into training, whether it's next week or next month. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And is it full? Just keep off yeah,
just kind of just stay away of the cardio sort of stuff, really, so that for Ironman training, not ideal. When the whole thing is just a cardio event.
Cardio,
yeah. But it's all right. We'll play it by ear, and you can only do what you can do, eh?
That's it, man. You just got to stay positive, I guess, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I was sort of saying to you before, I'm trying to avoid that path, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have already dropped off on my program, but
Right.
I'm still only running just 5K at a time, just recovery runs and stuff, just for the knee. It's not inflaming it, but I just know if I was to go anywhere above a recovery run, it'll just flare up.
Yeah.
Did you have any idols growing up, in fitness world, or what was?
Well, when I was real young, I was mad rugby.
Yeah,
loved it. I never really played at a high level or anything, but just loved watching it.
Yeah,
supported it like crazy. Was just mad about it.
Yeah.
So Dan Carter was a big one for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just loved watching him.
Yeah.
And then, kind of towards high school, got really into cricket.
Yep.
I was a bowler, but my favourite player was always Kane Williamson. Didn't really make sense.
No, well,
I think
he's the GOAT, man.
Yeah, New Zealand icon, eh?
Yeah, he is, man.
So, in terms of sports people, it was always people like that, really, eh?
Yeah.
But there's different people in different areas. There's, people back home that are kind of the top players in, I don't know, in your school when I'm year 9, and there's this year 13s that are, playing for New Zealand secondary schools rugby or, things like that. They're had sort of had these idols that are at the top level, but then there's also the people around you that are kind of inspiring you and showing you kind of what you can do.
Seeing the work getting put in, right?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the difference. Those Dan Carters, Kane Williamson, you see them on TV, performing week after week, but you don't kind of see their their day to day.
Yeah.
which I think kind of changed when I got to high school and you see some of those top level athletes, and then you walk past the gym when you arrive to school and you can see they've already been there for an hour or whatever, like actually seeing that sort of stuff firsthand.
Yeah.
I think that was quite big for me,
Yeah, that's a really good point, honestly, man, like for the listeners. Like it's just seeing how much work actually goes into it. And I think I like your content for that reason as well, like as you're at least putting out what you're doing, like quite a lot, but like whereas some people aren't, they'll still put out a video here and there, like you're being like real consistent with like, all right, like this is the kind of output that needs to be put into trying to do a half Ironman or a full Ironman, like that's something that like it's a very good point.
I try to a big one for me is like, even if it's just something like putting it on my story, like a photo of my training and then just like a Strava screenshot or whatever, kind of just showing people this is the sort of training that kind of goes into it. And I mean, sure, you get some people that can, would run a marathon, no training. You see those sort of stories on YouTube and everything now and then. But that's not the average person, eh?
Yeah, that's too far from people, eh? Like, it's not really something to look, or I guess where the comparison is the thief of joy, right? They're going, fuck, I couldn't do that,
Yeah. And, those are probably like really athletic people that have been, training for a long time. Maybe not training for a marathon.
Ex-athletes or something, eh?
But yeah, they're in the gym every week or whatever it is, But those sort of videos you see, they get pretty popular. Yeah. But they're not the average person, eh? Like the average person listening to this or watching my videos or whatever isn't going to be the person that goes and runs a marathon with no training. So I kind of want to show them what I'm doing and how, put in some effort and you get the results. Yeah.
Oh, it's as simple as that. It's not simple, but but it is as simple as that, right? Like,
Yeah, I always talk about that every now and then, how it's like, it's not easy to do, but the basis of it, the principles are really easy. You put in the work, you get the results. But actually doing the work and what that work is and all that sort of stuff,
figuring out how are you going to do the work, and like,
that isn't necessarily simple. But in terms of put in the effort, get the result, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Have you been enjoying the social media game? Like,
I have been. It was pretty slow to take off, to be honest. Kind of took a little bit longer to kind of get some results than I kind of anticipated.
It's always hard when it's like that, but you keep
it
pushing.
Is. But I had a few people I knew that were kind of doing their own sort of thing, similar but not the same. But they always just said, to stick at it. Like it's just what you got to do. And then you'll kind of get to a point where you'll break the back of it, and it will kind of just be exponential growth, really.
It's always diminishing. Like, what is it when it's returns in the long run, right? Like it's
like compounding.
Yeah, compounding effect. There.
So I kind of had a few different periods of that. Like as of late, I think probably 3 weeks ago, I was on like, I don't know, 1,500 followers. Now I'm on like 4,000. Yeah. Like it's just kind of like you get one or two videos that take off, and that really does boost everything, eh?
Yeah. Well, I started following you before you were at 1,000.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to actually think, because like I think I actually had a look before you came over, and I was just like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being like, oh, this dude's under 1,000. Like, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'll start following him early on the journey,
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to make followers the main goal.
Yep.
But it's nice to see that people are actually kind of appreciating what I'm doing, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at in my road, as I know that I just want to keep working at producing some content. I know it's probably not as up to the standard of yours, but like sort of like you're saying, like if you put it in that work and you keep working at it, I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I think when you do these sort of things, whether it's putting content out or training for an event or something, you can the more you do these sort of things, you kind of see that the work turns into results. Yeah. Whether it's tomorrow or next year, like it doesn't have to be immediate, but the more you can do those sort of things, the more you actually see that, I apply this effort and I get this result, Yeah. And then it doesn't have to be in the same area. Like I know I've applied this effort to do a half Ironman and I was able to achieve it. So then I go and now I'm training for a full, but I can also apply that to like, the content stuff. If I keep at it and I keep, posting and I keep getting better at editing or whatever it is, then that's going to turn into better results over time,
Yeah, for sure.
It's transferable, I reckon, eh?
Yeah, it can actually, you can apply it to every part of your life. And that's sort of why I I sort of thought of this to start a podcast is just to get in that person's ear, right? And if you can get in that person's ear at that right time, it doesn't even matter if you're at 100,000 followers and you just catch them at the right time. You can be at 100 followers and you just catch that right person at the right time, and you can actually make a difference in someone's life.
100%. Like, I think there's a lot of good you can do with social media, right? Like, it gets a bad rap of people like wasting their time on it or whatever. Yeah. But there's a lot of good coming from it too, eh?
We're all guilty of it, right? Like,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
I literally, like 2 days ago, was talking to the missus. Like, I was like, "Fuck, I just wasted an hour and a half here, and I've got podcasts I need to edit."
Yeah.
And it's things that are getting those roadblocks that are getting in the way, and I was like, but what did I get out of that hour and a half? Like, But there's also so much content on there that I also am trying to re-divert myself in, I guess like changing my algorithm. So
I actually I don't use TikTok anymore. I can't really stand it, eh?
Yeah.
But when I was using it, I did that. Like, I completely changed my algorithm, eh? Like, I remember I was like, I'm sick of these videos that are just whatever they were about. But it's pretty easy. You can just go on a video and go hide or whatever it is on
that's
whatever
what I
platform.
do on Instagram now.
Yeah, and then you can say I don't like this, and then if you like and you follow accounts that are really into what you're into, the algorithms are getting smarter and smarter, eh?
Yeah.
So if you are into that sort of thing, you can really target your accounts to be into it, eh?
Yeah, well, I guess you got to like cater your what's going in. I think did you do a video on it the other day, right?
Yeah,
like
inputs and outputs. Eh?
Yeah. So it's something that I try to practice as well, especially with podcasts.
Yes.
So like I used to catch myself a lot listening or watching just pointless YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like I guess captivating. Like the design to entertain or whatnot. Then I was just like, I could just be watching. I don't know. Like I watch Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
Andy Frisella. I don't know if you know who.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the dude that created 75 Hard.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So like he's probably one of my main idols that's inspired me to actually do this, because he has a podcast and he's also created that program, and I've done the 75 Hard program.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've done that 3 times now, and I just finished the Live Hard, which was the 1 year, the annual thing. I don't know if you know about it.
Nah, I haven't really heard of that.
Yeah,
What's
it's pretty.
that about?
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's the 75 Hard.
Yeah.
And then it's 3 30 day periods after that as well, but with additional tasks added on to each 30 days. But and then you finish the last 30 days on the annual calendar of when you first started 75 Hard.
Right.
So then it does a whole year with what's that? It's like 120 something days. It's not actually that much of the year, but it's those periods you got to be like locked in for those periods. And I would recommend looking into it. Like I would say you would benefit from it like quite a lot, because it's not even a fitness challenge or anything. It's a mental toughness challenge.
Right.
Yeah. So like there's like 75 Hard, like the 75 days. Have you heard of it? Like it's like two training sessions.
I know all about 75 Hard. Yeah.
So the Live Hard is the next stage of that.
Right.
And that's his thing that he does every year.
Okay.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
I did a 75 Hard, and then I failed it, and then I did 75 Hard and failed the Live Hard, and then the year just gone, I think I start of the year I just finished doing the full Live Hard challenge, and it's pretty tough, but it's worth it though. Like it's for the mental toughness of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's mean. I'd give it a go.
Yeah, I reckon you'll enjoy it. Like because you're already. I guess that actually leads to my next question. You just had a year of no drinking.
Yeah.
Like huge congratulations on that, bro. Like
Cheers.
That's how old are you?
21.
21. That's a mean achievement for someone like young, because as you know, being in that age, and I remember being that age, it was pretty much all the boys just trying to get on the piss together and would find any reason every weekend,
Yeah, I mean, trust me, been there, done that, eh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of, when I started it was kind of like I knew I needed to.
Yeah.
It was like, I had all these things that I wanted to achieve, and it was the main thing that was stopping me from getting there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like a cold turkey sort of thing. It was like, I went from drinking every weekend to, I don't know, once a month or twice a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I kind of went to like, only when I go on holiday and that sort of thing. And I don't know, eventually I was like, why do I even need those couple? I mean, it's not to say I never will again.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that everyone should. I think, just if it aligns with what you want to achieve, it is a pretty big determining factor in.
Well, it's the quote unquote cheat code these days, like
yeah.
But it is, like, it honestly
It
is.
is. I can't understate it enough how kind of beneficial that's been for me, and once again, I know it's not for everyone, but it definitely can have some massive effects on you.
Well, it's not for everyone, but like it should be. We live in this weird world right now, and don't worry, I've been there. Like I've told you before, like I used to be fat as I used to live like a poor lifestyle, but now you couldn't pay me to go back to living that sort of way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Once it sort of like clicks in your head.
Yeah. And I think that's what people don't quite understand. If they probably see what I used to be like, and I was never like an alcoholic or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was still like every weekend, and go hard at New Year's, and that's like a few day bender or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, like you say, it just kind of flips the switch. When you see how beneficial it is to make that change.
Yeah.
It's like you're almost robbing yourself if you go back to being like that.
Yeah.
I think probably a good balance would be, like most people, drinking less.
Yeah, cut back at first, and then see the benefits, and then like weigh up whether you're actually willing to go. Fuck, do I need to?
100%. Yeah, I don't.
Or just special occasions or something like. That's what I think the natural step would be. Like cut it back, then the special occasions, and then you go, all right, well, do I need to? I suppose that's our duty, is to be in people's ears, right?
100%.
Just to try, and I think, well, that's part of my journey and part of my goal that I want to achieve is, I want to make some, healthier Kiwis,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm on the same sort of path though.
Yeah. So like, when did you have your annual, when was it? Just recently, eh?
Yeah, it was like end of July, because the last time I drunk was at my mate's 21st, which was like end of July last year. But I mean, before that, it was like I went to the R&V that New Year's.
Oh yeah.
And then I drank like once or twice until then. So it was, almost a year and a half. But one or two occasions kind of that were,
Yeah, I haven't had any alcohol this year. Like I only just decided, like, because I've been really busy with work, and I got like 2.5, 3 months in, and I was like, fuck, I haven't touched the drop of alcohol, and I was just, I'm just going to keep going to the end of the year. Like it's just, I didn't have a want to do it, and I was just like, fuck, well then, if you don't have, like sometimes you're like, fuck, I need a beer, or that was gone for me, so I was like, oh, I might as well keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any moments of like, shit, fuck, I want to have a couple of beers, or any moments of weakness, or just because you were so deep into the prep, was it sort of like easy to sort of say no?
At the start, it was probably difficult.
Yeah.
But I mean, as more time went past, it was just kind of easier and easier, really.
Yeah.
I was always kind of an all or nothing guy. I was never
I'm the same, man.
I was never ever a 1 or 2 beers after work. Like, just didn't even cross my mind. But if I had 1 or 2, it was into 20. Like it was just how it went.
We on, like,
Yeah, it was like, don't drink or like drink.
Yeah, I was the same, man. Like, I would tell my mates, like, I'm happy to just hang around and you guys have like beers after work. I'm just not going to have a beer.
Yeah.
Because if I have a beer, like, I'm keen to get on it.
Yeah. For me, that was like that, but also, being 20, if you have 1 beer, you can't drive. And I used to hate that. I don't know. I just like being able to, be independent, and, if you need to drive, you can drive, and it's not like a hindrance.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your car behind or anything like that.
Yeah.
What's the main objective, actually? Like, what was your main objective when you started on social media? Like, well, what's the journey like?
Main reason I actually started is because when I first started training for half Ironman, there was no one that was like making content about how to do your first half Ironman or anything.
Yep.
It was, the only content I could find was people that had been doing triathlons since they were, 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it was their whole life, and they were like giving you tips about how you could get faster or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was no like, you've never done a triathlon before, like, here is how you can do your first.
Yeah.
If you know nothing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what my first idea was, to do just that.
Yeah.
But then after I started, I kind of realized I wanted to do more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got started, but definitely evolved into more than just Ironman sort of stuff.
Yeah. And what's that now? Is it just to get in front of eyeballs and just show a healthier lifestyle, or what's the main objective?
I think that
Sorry to lay it on you,
No, it's good. It's good to talk about this sort of stuff. I think the thing I've kind of realized is that, you know, when you go after this sort of stuff, whether that's a half Ironman or a marathon or, you know, trying to get promoted at work or whatever your goal is, you know, when you like really pursue these things and go after them properly, not just like, you know, half-hearted, if I get it, it'll be cool, but like really go after it, you can achieve some pretty cool stuff. And then the more of that you do, the more you can kind of see what you can do, and you kind of prove to yourself, I don't know, I think you can kind of see that these things are really possible.
Inputs and outputs.
Yeah. When you put in the work, you can really get those results. And I kind of want to make people aware of that, because I think a lot of people think, oh, you know, I want to do that. I want to run a marathon or whatever it is. And they think that it's just too hard.
Yeah, everyone's sort of boxed themselves in, eh?
Yeah.
You know, and I think just it's something that I'll probably bring up about your journey that I've seen is, you know, like taking those leaps of faith, and you're probably thinking, oh fuck, like, oh, you know, second guessing, you know, like do I take it or whatnot? You know, you went and took the leap of faith, and you know, and I've seen you literally talk about it multiple times about how exponentially greater your life has got since taking those leaps. You know,
100%. And yeah, I can't understand it enough, really. The more I actually like try different stuff, and you know, it doesn't always work out initially, but you know, you kind of stick at it and it will. The more I've kind of come to realize that, you know, I can do more. I can do something bigger next time, or you know, whatever it is. Yeah.
And what was that like, taking that leap? Like, what's been the biggest one for you? Was it moving? Like, was that a big hurdle to get over, or you kind of were like, oh, I was itching to leave anyway, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'd say moving was a big one, but biggest one probably was the half Ironman.
Yeah.
Just because it was something I'd wanted to do for so long, and actually taking it off. Was like, you know, I can do that, and it was like a whole year of training. Like in hindsight, I probably didn't need a whole year of training. But I mean, that's how it worked out. But yeah, it was like a really long period of time going towards one goal, and when it, you know, worked out, you know, when I achieved that goal, it was like really like kind of confirmation that that sort of stuff works. Moving to Auckland was a big one. But I think I was already kind of down that path already, having done the half Ironman and stuff, where like kind of that mindset shift has kind of already started. But it definitely was a big one, you know? Bit of a leap of faith, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, like, I guess you were around sort of, I guess, like people that are trying to better themselves, right? And then you're like, shit, like, this is cool. I want to be around that more.
Yes.
Is that what?
100%. Yeah. So, yeah, moving to Auckland, there's a lot more people doing Ironmans and running and, you know, run clubs and all that sort of stuff. There's more people in the content game. There's just, you know, there's more people, full stop. So there's naturally more people that are doing that sort of stuff.
Because you're from Palmy, right? Like, it's quite small.
Born and bred. So,
nice.
Yeah, been living there from 0 to 21. So,
what's it like going fucking straight into the big smoke, mate? Like,
I love it, eh?
Yeah.
Every time I went there on a holiday or whatever, I always really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people say they don't like how busy it is, but I don't know. I kind of thrive off that, to be honest.
I don't like the traffic.
Yes.
That's my thing. And like being here from Hamilton, like we've still got a decent size, but just things just move smoother.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've been to Hamilton much, like, you know, we get a bit of bad stick too, though.
I think similar. Palmy and Hamilton are kind of the same boat. They kind of get a bad rap, but I mean, I can't speak too much on Hamilton. I've never been here too much, but I think Palmy's a great place. So
yeah,
I
like
really like growing up there.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of time for me to move on.
Yeah.
But in terms of the traffic in Auckland, I don't know. I start work at 6 a.m, so I'm kind of beating that traffic, and then there's not too much traffic going home. Probably like. Takes me like 15 minutes to get to work, 25 to get home. So that's not too bad.
You know, that's not bad at all compared to the average Aucklander. I would say a lot of them are,
you know, an hour commute or something.
Yeah.
And I've been there for 3 months, and the first time I was in bumper to bumper traffic was leaving on Friday night.
Yeah.
So
you might even hit it going back a bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think Takanini or something like that. I think it's just sort of starts to get a bit shit. I think they've finished their roadworks though. But
but I mean, every now and then, you know, can put up with that. It's not like it's every day,
Yeah, definitely worth all the sacrifices, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think just, if you can, I don't know, I suppose lots of people have to commute for their jobs and that, and I mean, I do as well, but it's just kind of lucky that my hours work pretty well, then I'm not sitting in that traffic.
Do you finish early?
I finish at 3:30.
Oh, sweet.
So which is cool. I can.
That's probably like perfect timing to avoid it all, right?
Yeah. So you know, go and get some training done in the afternoon and get stuck into some editing in that day.
Yeah. Are they all where you train? Is it all around where you're based as well? Is it quite easy? So when you get home from work, you don't have much commute to go to other places, or?
So I do all my swimming and gym stuff at the AUT Millennium, which is really close to work.
Yep.
So I go straight there from work, like 500 meters away.
Oh, wicked.
Go straight there from work and get stuck in. But so I still got the 15 k's to get home or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've already trained to that point, and
You could probably bike home.
yeah, I actually
15K
wanted to.
Yeah.
Was the plan when I moved up, but I actually live sort of Grey Lynn area.
Okay.
And work in the North Shore.
Oh yeah.
So I go over the bridge, so you can't really cycle across
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh, did they axe that cycling bridge?
Yeah. Hasn't happened yet, eh?
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't
I'll
know.
have to bring in a bit of a ploy to get it in.
Yeah.
But
What a waste
yeah.
of money that was. God.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose that in that aspect it's pretty lucky. I'm kind of going against the flow of the traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, cool.
Get stuck in some training after work, and then yeah.
Yeah. You talked about before how you at first you started for someone that wanted to do a half Ironman.
Yeah.
Could you give us a few pointers? It's in my realm of embracing the difficult. It's something that I want to do. It's probably going to be in the next year.
Yeah.
I probably will sign up for a half marathon. I just had a mate of mine just did. I think she just did a triathlon, and she sees me running, and she was just like, "Oh, Aaron, you should sign up for it." And I sign up for an Ironman or a triathlon or something like that. And I was just like, I honestly have been thinking about it. I've been seeing a few content creators that I follow as well. I was like, they're doing. I was like, why not give it a crack?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for a lot of people is that they get really caught up on what their training needs to look like and all the gear they need. Because I mean, it's obviously it can be a bit daunting.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just getting out there and giving it a go, eh? And what I found anyway is like you kind of naturally figure out that stuff along the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you sign up for an event that's 8 months down the line or something, you give yourself a bit of time to get into it. I think you just get out, start running, start cycling, start swimming, and you can build up over time. And don't get too caught up on the what bike do I need? You can just get, even if you're just on a bike at the gym, just to start, and then you can start chatting to a few people, or what does my swimming workout need to look like? People get really caught up in the details, but I think the major thing is actually just getting out and starting training.
Yeah,
and over time you'll just naturally kind of learn more as you kind of connect with people as well. But I mean, if anyone wants any specific advice, I suppose they could always flick me a message. I'm always keen to help out.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, awesome. Really appreciate you coming in, bro.
Sweet.
Cheers,
good to get on.
Pardon?
So good to get on.
Yeah. If you want to give Ollie a follow, I'll put his link down in the description. And then, like you said, if you want to ask Ollie any questions about, I guess, content creation, is that where you're leaning? Content creation, triathlons, anything else?
Yeah, that sort of stuff, I suppose.
Yep.
Always keen to help people out. So yeah, go for it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Sweet.
Thanks for listening, guys.